Hey, it's Trixie, reminding you to read your math book before the lesson. Thanks!
All right, 6th grade, today we're going to learn lesson 68, which is algebraic addition. So this lesson is going to talk a little bit about number lines, a little bit about subtraction, and a little bit about addition, and hopefully really make you understand what it means to subtract. Okay, so let's say I have this nifty number line here, and I ask you, what is 7 minus 3? Well, you would probably go to 7, and then you'd minus 3. 1, 2, 3. That's going to give you a grand total of 4. Yay. But you can also think of this as 7 plus the opposite of 3 equals 4. What that means is, if I start at my 7, instead of going what is this? Instead of going up 3 to 10, I'm finding the opposite of 3, that negative right there. So I would still go down to here. So the opposite of 3 is the same as minus 3. Okay, this is just a different way to write it with my plus and then my subtraction in the parentheses. Okay, let's say I ask you to find 7 minus 3. Okay, this minus 3 is like saying the opposite of 3, right? But this minus is another opposite. So if I start at 7, okay, and I go to the opposite of negative 3, well, the opposite of negative 3 would be this way. So I would go 1, 2, 3. That would give me 10. Essentially, when I have something minus a negative, I always think that's a positive. A way to remember this is one line plus a second line is 2 lines down there. Look, it's a little happy face. Isn't that great? Okay, so anytime I have a positive plus a negative, think of that as a negative number. But if I have a positive minus a negative, that's really going to be a positive number. Okay, so let's look at our examples in our book. The first one is minus 3 minus 2. Okay, the first thing that jumps out at me is this minus bit. So what I'm thinking about here is the opposite of 2. Or I could think there's 2 lines here, right? There and there. 2 negatives is a positive. So now my expression is negative 3 plus 2, or the opposite of 3 plus positive 2. So I'm going to end up with negative 1. Remember, when I add a negative and a positive, whichever is the greater number, I'm going to look at that sign to tell me what my sign is at the end. All right, our next question is minus 2 minus 5 minus positive 6. Well, at the beginning I have a negative and a negative. I know right away that's a positive. 2 negatives in a row is a positive. So I start with positive 2. Then over here I have a negative. No second negative with it. So I can think of this as plus negative 5. Then my last number is minus positive 6. I can rewrite that as plus negative 6. So if you want to get rid of all the extra numbers here, or sorry, signs, you get 2 minus 5 minus 6. Well, that means I have to do this part first, my first two numbers. 2 minus 5, I have negative 3 because this number is bigger. So I end up with a negative because that's a negative. Continuing on, I have a minus 6. Now I have two negatives that I'm putting together. We learned before that if I have two negatives, I can just add them and then put a negative at the end. 3 plus 6 is 9. So I end up with negative. All right, last example. I have minus 1.2 minus positive 1.5. So when I have two negatives that I'm adding together, because this is, I can change my signs around and it looks like that. All I have to do is add them and then put a negative at the end, okay? It is okay to switch the signs like this when you are adding, okay, if that helps you think. All right, that's what the book wants you to do. So now I can add 1.2 plus 1.5, and that gives me 2.7. Am I done yet? You should say no, because I'm adding two negative numbers. That means that I have to put a negative at the beginning, so the sign's the same, and I circle my answer. Okay, so let's go over our practice set. First, letter A, minus 3 minus positive 2. So I can say minus 3, minus 2, and that gives me negative 5. I have minus 3, and then I have two minuses here, so that's like a positive. That gives me negative 1. Letter C, I have a positive 3 minus 2. So it's 3 minus 2 gives me 1. Negative 3 minus positive 2 minus minus 4. Negative 3 minus 2 plus 4. That's going to give me negative 5 plus 4, which is going to give me negative 1. Whenever you see a plus on here, like right here, and you have a minus like this, the minus, think of it as stronger than the plus, okay? When you carry it down to here, that's going to be a minus. Okay, so then we have letter E. We have minus 8 plus negative 3 minus positive 2. Okay, so remember what I just said. Think of your minuses as stronger than your positives. Okay, that's a trick you can think of. So I have minus 8, minus 3, minus 2. So negative 8 minus 3, negative 11 minus 2 gives me negative 13. Okay, letter F. Okay, I have minus 8, minus plus 3, plus minus 2. Minus, minus, minus. So negative 8 minus 3 minus 2. So negative 8 minus 3 is going to be negative 11. Oops. Negative 11 minus 2 gives me negative 13. It's very similar to what's up here. I just have my minuses and my pluses in different places. Remember, your minuses are stronger than your pluses unless there's two minuses together and then you get a plus. Okay, I have a fraction. So I have minus 3/5 minus minus 1/5. I have two minuses in a row. That tells me it's a plus. Minus 3/5 plus 1/5 gives me minus 2/5. And I know it's negative because my bigger number that I'm adding together is negative, negative. Great. And my last one. I have minus 0.2 minus positive 0.3. So it's like minus 0.2 minus 0.3, and that's going to give me negative 0.5. Oh, and there is an I. So it says, which is greater, 3 plus negative 6 or 3 minus negative 6? So if I have 3 plus negative 6, I only have one negative here, right? That's going to be stronger than my positive. But if I have 3 minus 6, that becomes a positive. Look, it's a face again. So now I have 3 minus 6 and 3 plus 6. 3 minus 6, this number is bigger, so I know it's going to end up as a negative. So that's going to be negative 3. 3 plus 6 is 9. This is the better choice. Okay, and that's because I have my two negatives here.